is this land given in possession. Therefore say, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. Therefore say, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel, and they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence, and I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them an heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. But as for them, whose heart walketh after the heart of their detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own heads, saith Yahweh Elohim. Then did the cherubims lift up their wings, and the wheels beside them, and the glory of Elohim, the Elohim of Israel, was over them above. And the glory of Yahweh went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain which is on the east side of the city. Afterwards the Spirit took me up and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of Elohim into Chaldea, to them of the captivity. So the vision that I had seen went up from me. Then I spake unto them of the captivity, all the things that Yahweh had showed me. That was Ezekiel, the 11th chapter.
Good evening, class. I would like to remind everyone at this time to please quiet all cell phones and electronic devices so our class is not disturbed.
I'll do
what he wants me to.
whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants me to do.
I'll try to do my best.
I'll try to do my best.
I'll try to stand my
I'll try to
test.
stand my test.
I'll let my little light shine.
I'll let my little light
For
shine.
some lost sheep.
Some lost sheep trying to find.
I'll go through the storm and the rain.
Under the storm and rain.
I'll try hard not to complain.
I'll try hard not to complain. Oh,
I will do It's mighty nice to do Yah's will. He bore his cross up the rugged hill. It was mighty nice. He gave his life. Oh yes. When it's over one day, well, it's by his side. But until that day comes, I'll do
what he wants me to.
whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants me to do.
I'll try to do my best.
I'll try to do my best.
I'll try to stand my
I'll try to stand
test.
my test.
I'll let my little light shine
I'll let my little light
for
shine.
some lost sheep.
Some lost sheep trying to find.
I'll go through the storm and the rain.
Under the storm and rain.
I'll try hard not to complain.
I'll try hard not to complain. Oh,
I will do his will. Oh, oh, oh. I will do Yah's will. It's mighty nice to do Yah's will. He bore his cross up the rugged hill. It was mighty nice. He gave his life. Oh yes. When it's over one day, he'll let us be by his side. Until that day comes, I'll do
do what he wants me to.
whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants me to do.
I'll try to do my best.
I'll try to do my best.
I'll try to stand my
I'll try to stand
test.
my test.
I'll let my light shine
I'll let my little light
for
shine.
some lost sheep.
Some lost sheep trying to find.
I'll go through the storm and the rain.
Under the storm and rain.
I'll try hard not to complain.
I'll try hard not to complain. Oh,
I will do his will. Oh, oh, oh. I will do Yah's will. Oh, oh, oh. I will do his will. Oh, oh, oh. I will do Yah's will. Oh, 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 oh. Encourage my soul and let to well. The morning light appears. Oh, don't you know that the storm is passing over? The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. Encourage my soul and let us journey on. Though the night is dark and I am far from home, everybody say, thanks be to El. The morning light appears. Oh, don't you know that the storm is passing over? The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. 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 The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. 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 The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. Encourage my soul and let us journey on. Though the night is dark and I am far from home, everybody say, thanks be to El. The morning light appears. Oh, don't you know that the storm is passing over? The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. 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 The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah. 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 The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. The storm is passing over. Hallelujah.
Thank you, choir. Our first speaker for this evening will be Dr. Danielle Anwar.
Thank you. Well, good evening, class. Yashua has a lot on my mind, so I'm going to try to bring this all out the way he's telling me. First thing I want to say is, if you want to focus on this chart here, this is the end. This is Omega. This is the end. So if everybody could just, if you want to, you don't have to if you don't want to, but just close your eyes and imagine yourself in front of Yahweh Elohim on the last day. And what is he going to say to you? Or what is going to be the communication? Is he going to say, you did well? You know, and that's just a carnal, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how it's really going to happen, but this is very important where we are. And he's been showing me where we are. And I'm just going to take some current events and bring them into the pattern. Okay? So if you could, can you start with Genesis 1 and 14? And then if you can, out of the concordance, get sign and get season.
Genesis 1 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim said, let the lights in the firmament of the heavens separate the day from the night, and they will be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And Elohim made to appear two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to lighten the earth, and to rule by day and by night, and to separate between light and between darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Okay, thank you for reading that all. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and stop you. I need sign and I need season out of the concordance. So if you go back to the very first verse, and we'll just start there.
Genesis 1 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim said, let the lights of the firmament of the heavens separate the day from the night.
So this is the fourth day that we're talking about. We've already had the light that came into the world. He separated the light from the darkness. But then on the fourth day, Yahweh Elohim is explaining to Moses that he put the celestial bodies into the earth. So this is where you have the sun, the moon, and the stars. Now he's doing it for a particular purpose. He's saying that they are for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. Now did you get sign and season out of the concordance?
I have sign.
Okay.
That's number 226.
Mm-hmm.
Properly from 225 in the sense of appearing.
Okay.
A signal, literally or figuratively, as a flag, a beacon, monument, omen, prodigy, evidence.
Okay. So that was sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then did you get season?
4150.
Mm-hmm. And go back to where you are while she's getting that, Tim. Go ahead and pick up where you were.
1 and 14, Genesis. And they will be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
Okay, uh-huh.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth.
So the sun, they're all going to be to give light upon the earth. Read on.
And it was so.
And it was so. Read on.
And Elohim made to appear two great lights.
Now he makes to appear on the fourth day two great lights. The greater light, go ahead.
The greater light to rule the day.
So the sun to rule the day.
And
read on.
And the lesser light to rule the night.
And then the moon or the lesser light to rule the night. So here, when you come over here, everything has a spiritual significance with Yahweh Elohim. See, the sun or the S-O-N, Yahshua, he rules the day. And the moon, which is, he doesn't have any light of his own. All the moon, all the light that the moon has is from the sun. So the lesser light is to rule the night. Read on. And then he also made the stars or the celestial bodies. Read on.
And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to lighten
So
the
he
earth.
sets them in the firmament or the heaven to light the earth. Read on.
and to rule by day and by night,
Mm-hmm.
and to separate between light and between darkness.
So there's a difference between the light and between the darkness. There is a definite difference. Read on.
And Elohim saw that it was good.
Now Elohim saw that it was good. Now did you get season out of the concordance?
Yes. Number 4150.
Mm-hmm.
It has quite a long, but basically from 3259, properly an appointment.
Right, that's it. That's good. And some of the concordances will say a divine appointment. So he put the celestial bodies in the sky for an omen, is one of the definitions, and for a divine appointment. Okay? So go ahead and get Psalms 19 and 1 through 4. And go ahead and hold I think it's 1 Thessalonians 5 and 7. Just hold it. And then also I'm going to want Matthew 2 and 1. And before you get that, Amos 3 and 7. 5 and 7, but just hold it. And then Amos 3 and 7. After you get Psalms 19 and 1 through 4.
Psalms 19, 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
The heavens declare the glory of El.
So everything that we're looking at in the heavens, they declare the glory of Yahweh Elohim. Read on.
And the firmament showeth his handiwork.
So the firmament or the heaven, it shows his handiwork. Read on.
Day unto day uttereth speech.
So day unto day uttereth speech. Read on.
And night unto night showeth knowledge.
And then night unto night showeth knowledge. Read on.
There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard.
So there's no speech or no language where Yahweh Elohim, his voice is not heard. Read on.
Yet their message is gone out through all the earth.
Perfect. Amos 3 and 7.
Amos 3 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Surely Yahweh Elohim will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets.
So Yahweh Elohim says he's not going to do anything unless he reveals it unto his servants or his prophets. Okay? So go to Matthew 2 and 1.
Matthew 2 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now when Yahshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came Magi from the east to Jerusalem.
Okay. So we have a lot of things. Sorry. Jim, will you help me? Will you just bring it up here? Thank you. We have a lot of things that are going on, like eclipses, and we have all types of things that are going on, where Yahweh Elohim is showing his sons what is happening in the earth. And I'm just going to go over a couple of those things, okay, that he's been showing to me. Sorry, Jim, am I messing you up? It was kind of hard to bring. Yeah, isn't it hard today? Thank you. All right. So here, we're talking about Matthew, the 2nd chapter, and there's going to be a king, and there's going to be Magi, okay? So here, go back to 2 and 1, and we'll start there.
Now when Yahshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea.
So Yahshua is born in Bethlehem, Judea. Okay, read on.
In the days of Herod the king.
So it's in the days of Herod the king. Read on.
Behold, there came Magi from the east
Now,
to
there
Jerusalem.
came Magi from the east. Now, we don't know a lot about these Magi, okay? But there's Magi, or people that are wise. Some Bibles say wise men, and they come from the east. Okay, read on.
Saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews?
Now, the Magi ask a very specific question. Read that again.
Saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews?
Where is Yahshua who is born King of the Jews? Now, the Magi, if you really want to get down to it, they're astronomers. Astronomers, not astrologers. They're astronomers. They look at the sky and they can determine what's going to happen. So here, you had, they always say there's 3 Magi, but the Bible never says that. They think that because there's 3 gifts, but it doesn't say that. But these Magi are astronomers. And what they do is they study the heavens and the earth. And when they studied the heavens of the earth, they saw what we call the Star of Bethlehem. Okay, read on. Where you are, Tim.
For we have seen his star in the east.
So they've seen this star in the east. So they see. So Yahweh Elohim is using the heavens to declare when his son is going to come into the earth, predetermined before the foundation of the world. So Joshua has a star in the east. Read on.
And we are come to worship him.
Now, they have come to worship him. So if they were astrologers, they'd be trying to tell you what was going to happen to you. No, they came to worship Yahshua. Read on.
When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him.
Okay, so stop there for a minute. So what the Magi saw, and this is the reason why I'm bringing this up, is because this event, the Star of Bethlehem, it happens every 2,000 years. It just happened in 2015. It appeared on June 30th, 2015. Now, if the heavens declare the glory of El, we need to be watching it to see what's going on. What is Joshua telling us? He's repeating the pattern over and over. So now what the Magi saw in the stars, okay, and this is how we determine, in the stars, and I don't know how to draw because I'm not an artist, but I'm going to try to do this. In the stars, let's just say it looks kind of like this. This is bad, okay, that's really bad. But there are different stars in the constellation. Now, Leo, what tribe do you think Leo would be attached to?
Judah.
Judah. So in constellation world or in astronomer world, Leo is Judah. It's the lion. So if you were to look at the constellations, like if you go to a planetarium, they'll have it traced out and it'll look kind of like, this is really bad depiction, but it'll look something like that. So Leo or Judah, Leo, is called the king constellation. Now, also within Leo at this time where Yahshua was born, there's a star planet. It's about right here. And it's called Regulus. Now, this star is also called the king star. So you've got the king constellation, which is Leo. Within the king constellation, which is Leo, is Regulus, which is the king star. Now, what ends up happening around the time that Yahshua was born, this is happening right now, just so you know. This is happening, okay? Around the time that Yahshua was born, Jupiter. Now, what is Jupiter, Tandi? What does Jupiter represent? Do you know? Yahshua. When Dr. Kinley wrote the planet, it's also called the king planet. So they have named this the king planet. And Dr. Kinley already told us Jupiter, which you have it over here on this chart here. Jupiter, see it right here next to Saturn, has all the rings. Saturn is a representation of the satanic spirit. Jupiter, because it had a pierce in the side, right? And it had just different things that represent Yahshua. Jupiter represents Yahshua the Messiah. So when you come over to the constellation, what was happening at the time of Yahshua's birth is that this planet, Jupiter, was coming down, and then it went into what they call retrograde, and it went back, and then it came back down, and it made like a crown around Regulus. So when the Magi saw this event here, they knew something was up because they had the king constellation, which is Leo. They had the king star, which is Remulus within Leo. And then they had the king planet, which is Jupiter. And that Jupiter, it went down, it came up, and then it came back down. So when they saw that, they knew something was different. Now, look, I'm just looking, I'm doing research. This is what the astronomers have come forward. Actually, it was a lawyer who came and found this, and it's called The Star of Bethlehem. It's a great documentary. So anyway, what also they found is that this star, it did not happen in December. It happened in June. Yahweh is just using the heavens to declare his glory. So go ahead. And then after that, real quick. So then after, when it comes back down, it comes around, and you've got Jupiter stopping here. And then Venus, which is called the mother planet. So you've got the king, and you've got the mother. And they come almost together, and it forms this bright star. And that star is what they call the Star of Bethlehem, which is what the Magi saw. Okay, so this is documented. I'm just repeating information that somebody else found. Okay, so read on where you are in Matthew, the 2nd chapter, where you stopped.
2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where the Messiah should be born.
So now King Herod is demanding where the Messiah should be born. Okay, read on.
And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea.
Now they tell him Bethlehem, which is also foretold in the scriptures. Go to Micah 5 and 2. But keep reading where you are, Tim.
He demanded of them where and they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea.
Right.
For thus it is written by the prophet. Micah 5 and 2.
Right. House of
And
bread.
thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the cities of Judah.
Right.
For out of thee shall he come forth unto me,
Right.
that shall rule my people Israel.
Okay, perfect. So go to Micah 5 and 2 real quick.
But thou, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel.
Okay, go back and start at 5 and 2 because I missed something. I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Micah 5 and 2. But thou, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel.
So he is declaring in Micah that Yahshua is going to be born in Bethlehem, even though Bethlehem is little. He's saying, but you're going to be a ruler unto these. So the wise men and Micah both knew what Yahweh Elohim told them what was going to happen, basically. Okay, so keep reading where you are back in Micah, actually. Just finish Micah up a little bit.
Whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Therefore will he give them up until the time that she, which travelleth, hath brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel.
So somebody is pregnant. Now, this is something too, because what is happening on September 23rd of 2017 is there is a consolation, another consolation. Okay? Oh, I wish I could draw. Go to Revelation 12 and 1. But if you have the King James, I believe, I think it's 11 and 19. It's hold on one second. Let me try to write this. So what's happening in a couple days on September 23rd, and this is all over the internet. People are talking about this. Okay? There is so in the sky, I wish I had pictures because you can't see, you don't understand without pictures. The whole sky, there's constellations all over. What they do if you go to the planetarium is they make little, like, they'll put Sagittarius or they'll put Leo, but there's certain stars that connect, and they're called like constellations. So what's happening on September 23rd is we have, I'm just going to make it like this. This is so bad, okay? I'm not an artist. There's the Virgo. And Virgo just means virgin. Okay, so you got the Virgo, and there's certain little stars that make her, and she kind of lays to the side. And then because it's in the sky, there's the sun here. Okay? Go ahead and read 12:1, and we're going to carry it. I'm just going to show you how Yahweh is declaring his glory in the sky. Read
Revelation 12:1,
Uh-huh.
King James Version.
on. Yep.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven,
Okay?
a woman clothed with the sun.
So there's a woman. Now, this is Yahweh. Don't think of it like astrology, or don't think of it like that. Yahweh has everything worked to his glory. So here you've got the woman or the virgin who is clothed in the sun. So imagine a star pattern, and there's the sun. So the woman is clothed in the sun. Okay, read on.
And the moon under her feet.
Now, hold on, Tim. You're reading too fast. September 23rd, 2017. Now, there's the moon, which represents the law. The moon is under her feet. Read on.
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Now, upon her head is 12. And I'm not going to make this is not accurate. I'm telling you, got to look it up for yourself because this is not looking right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, there's a debate about this. But basically, there's the constellation of Leo. But there's 12 stars that are above her head. Okay, read on.
And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth.
So, now, within our constellation right now, this is happening on September 23rd, Jupiter is about right here. Jupiter represents Yahshua the Messiah. So you have Jupiter here. So it's like she's pregnant, if you will. Okay, read on.
And pained to be delivered.
And it's pain to be delivered. So she's about to birth this child. Okay, read on.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven.
Okay, so stop right there for a minute. So if we take this principle here, this is happening in the sky is what I'm saying. But it only points back to Yahshua the Messiah. Because if you take the virgin, who's the virgin in this story?
Mary.
Mary. So you've got Mary here, all right? And she's clothed in the sun. The sun is Yahshua, the Messiah. Okay, read on.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven.
Now, go back to 12:1, please.
12:1.
Uh-huh.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven.
Uh-huh.
A woman clothed with the sun.
So you've got Mary clothed with the sun or with Yahweh. Read on.
And the moon under her feet.
Now the moon or the law is under her feet. Read on.
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Now upon her head is the 12 stars, just like there were 12 tribes here. So here, what's happening is Yahweh is taking this pattern of this woman clothed in the sun, and now he's reflecting it on this side of the cross. So here, what we have on this chart is we've got the woman, and she's clothed in the sun with the moon under her feet. I'm not saying anything new. This is just, I'm just trying to show it to you in the consolation. Now, if you would, real quick, go to, how do I want to do this real quick? Go to John 2:19. And also, this whole pattern is happening back here as well, because Israel was the woman. She's referred to as the son. She's referred to as the woman. Remember, my Ishai. Ishai is my husband. So you've got a type here of the woman or Israel being clothed in the sun. So you have this principle. And then also with Adam here, you had Eve who was in Adam. So Eve is taken out of Adam. So here again, you have the type of the woman being clothed in the sun. Okay, read where you are. Joshua, John
2:19.
Uh-huh.
Yahshua answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up.
So Joshua here is talking about his body, and that's what they don't understand. So Joshua is saying, destroy this temple, and in 3 days, I will raise it back up. But they are always looking at the physical things, so they don't understand what he's talking about. So what I want to do too is tie this in, because there's more going on than what I'm saying. I can't get it out fast enough. But go ahead and get, go to the Elohim book and get page 39. Because what's happening too, did somebody say something? Volume 4. Volume 4. If you take the temple, and I want you to go, actually you didn't get the exact right verse that I wanted you to get, Tim. It's okay though, you were okay. But can you go back to Revelation 12 and 1, but go back one verse? So I think it's 11 and 19.
Revelation 11 and 19. And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament.
So, John in his vision, he's on the Isle of Patmos, on the isle surrounded by water. And John is seeing Yahweh Elohim in a vision, and he's writing it in a book. John writes St. John, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, and Revelation. So now he's writing out what he's seen in this vision on the Isle of Patmos. So when he's talking about this temple here, read it again, Tim.
And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven.
So the temple of Yahweh is open, but it's in heaven. Read on.
And there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament.
So seen is the ark of the testament. So here I've been looking at the temple, and I've been understanding Revelation a little bit more from understanding more about the temple. So the temple is the glorified, or it represents the glorified body of Yahshua the Messiah. Because here, like we said before, this is representative of a man standing. It had an upper deck, or an upper story, a middle story, and a lower story. And it was black with pitch. It had one door, it had one window. And what Yahshua was teaching me about this story is that all life was in this ark. That means the birds, the insects, the man, all life was in the ark. Now here, that represents a man standing. So here you have Yahweh Elohim, and all life is coming out of Yahweh Elohim, representative of that ark of safety, or that ark. So here, back here, if you look at this and you look at it by the pattern, Yahweh Elohim, even when that ark, when all that stuff happened with Noah's ark and he destroyed the earth, he was in control of the light and of the darkness. He was in control of the waters above and the waters beneath. He was in control of all the vegetation. He was in control of the sun, the moon, and the stars. He had all those animals and man in that ark. And then too, he had man in the ark. So here you have Yahweh Elohim being represented by one light, one door. That was the first structure that Yahweh Elohim had man to build. But it tells a story. The second thing he has man to build is the tabernacle. So the tabernacle, when you look at it, it's got the most holy place, the holy place, and then the court that goes round about. So we know the most holy place is representative of Yahweh. The holy place is representative of Elohim. And then the court round about is representative of Yahshua the Messiah. Most holy place, court round about, Father, Word, Holy Spirit. This gate, Yahshua says, enter in at the straight gate. Here, he is the true Passover. Here, he is the washing, or he is the baptism. Everything is baptized within Yahshua the Messiah. He is the only anointed of Yahweh Elohim. He is the light. He is the door. He is the bread. He is the intercession between Yahweh and man. And then he comes and he sits on the throne. This represents the throne, because here that throne, or heaven, is open. but there was always something telling his sons exactly who he was. So inside of that ark or that chest was the covenant or the law of Yahweh. He said, I do the will of my Father. And here you had the angels here representing or depicting that spirit. And then here Yahweh would flash to let everybody know that his sin was forgiven. So here when we talk about the temple had an oracle, which was like the most holy place. And then it had a sanctuary, which was like the holy place. And then it had a court. And actually, a porch. I'm thinking of the tabernacle. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me, Tandi. A porch, which represented the court roundabout. But I'm going to focus real quick on the oracle. Now, the oracle itself of the temple was like the most holy place, or like Yahweh. And here, it was 20 cubits every way. So here, 20 cubits is equivalent to our 30 feet. So it went 30 feet this way, 30 feet up. It was 30 feet wide, 30 feet long, 30 feet up. Now, the wood itself, or the construction or the configuration of this temple was made of cedar. And the cedar is there's more into, so much to this, there's so much, and I'm trying to slow down and get everything out. The cedar, it came from Lebanon, okay? Cedar oil is from the Egyptians. They use it to embalm and preserve. Okay, so just even that, if you take that alone, this represents Yahweh in his high state, and it's to preserve. Also, Romans use the word cedar figuratively for immortality. So cedar, just in our world, represents preservation, and it also represents immortality. So the ceiling is made of cedar. The walls are made of cedar. The floor is made of cedar. But then what covers the ground or the floor is fir wood. Now fir wood is an evergreen. So fir wood, it's always green, or it's always summer. You understand what I'm saying? It never dies. So again, you've got a type of that life, eternity. Thank you, eternity. So you had, on top of that, you had this whole configuration overlaid with pure gold. And not 14 karat gold, not 18 karat gold. This is gold, pure gold. Now, I don't know if anybody watches the markets, but gold today was $13.48.70. That's what it closed at. Gold, 1 ounce of gold is $1,348.70. That's how much gold is today. So if you were going to take this temple, because it had over 100,000 talents of gold, a talent is about 70 pounds. So if you were to take this whole temple and everything and all the workers, because there were 153,000 laborers, there was silver, there was bronze. You know how much cedar is? There was cedar, there was fir, there was stone. All of these things that went into making this temple was priceless. It would be about $500 million or more in our day and age. So this temple, what I'm trying to point out, is the opulence or the wealth or the magnitude of this structure. So here, everything was overlaid with gold and then carved into the structure or into the gold. There were cherubim, which is like that angelic realm. And then you had palm trees. Well, these palm trees were from Lebanon, but they represent, again, summer. Yes, when I think of palm trees, I think of Florida, Bahamas. They represent ascension. So they had cherubims, they had palm trees, and then they had open flowers. And that was carved into the ceiling, into the walls. And then the fifth part of this structure, there were doors. Double doors, or actually, yeah, they were double doors. And they were made of olive wood. And then the doorpost too. There were 2 of them. And they were also overlaid with gold. And then they also had cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers carved into them. So here, this, can you just see like that? It's like it's very opulent. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting it across, but it's very opulent. So outside of here, there was a partition, and the partition was made of chains. Okay, so you had this little like veil or door, kind of like the tabernacle here, separating the oracle from the sanctuary, or the most holy place from the holy place. And this here, there were blue, beautiful, and I'm going to put that in there because that's what Dr. Kinley writes. Beautiful, blue, purple, and then it says crimson, linen. But crimson is just a deep red. So you've got chains and a veil, and then the sanctuary comes out. Now in the middle of the oracle, there is the same, hear me out, man, this is deep if you, the same Ark of the Covenant that was in the tabernacle is the same Ark of the Covenant that was inside of the oracle. So Yahweh didn't go and get new stuff. He took the same thing out and he put it into the temple. Just like when you leave this flesh, there's nothing new about you that's going over. That same soul that has been embodied in this earthen vessel is going to come out, and it's going to be a part of the body of Yahshua the Messiah. So here you had the Ark of the Covenant, and again it's overlaid with gold, and it had the 2 angels here, okay? And then on top of that, there were 15 feet high cherub or angels. And let me just try to draw this. I'm just not an artist, so you just got to try to bear with me here. I'm not an artist at all, as you can tell. So this represents the cherub. So in the middle, if the room is 30 feet, there's the Ark of the Covenant here, and then the cherub go up, and they are looking at each other. But what's cool about this is they're 15 feet high, so they're up. If the room is 30 feet high, they're halfway up. And one of their arms goes to the back of the wall, and then the other one goes right in the middle of the cherub. And I don't know if it's this way or this way, but I'm just trying to show you that one of the wings went that way, and one of the wings went into the ark. So they're facing. Tim, will you come here for a minute? We're going to demonstrate it real quick. Because we don't talk about the oracle, but Yahweh's saying get into this temple right now, because there's stuff in this temple. Can you walk, Tim? Okay. So you put your arm that way. Yes. So the Ark of the Covenant, so it's coming like do this, like be like this, like you about to slam dunk. Okay, so here, the Ark of the Covenant is right here, and then it's surrounded by 2 angels that are completely gold, okay? And then the wing is going back. Do you have your arm back like that? Okay, so that's what it looks like. I'm just trying to give a thank you very much for that. Okay, so here, what am I trying to say? So go back. Now you got to work, Tim. Go back to the scripture in 11 and 19, and then we're going to read it with a little bit more understanding of the temple.
Revelation 11 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven.
So the temple of Yahweh. So this temple represents that spiritual temple. This temple represents this spiritual temple. So the temple of Yahweh is open. Read on.
And there was seen in his temple the ark.
There's seen in his temple the ark, or the Ark of the Covenant. Read on.
And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail.
Now that has actually happened in the last couple weeks. There has been hail. There's been lightning. Read that again, because there's more in there. Go ahead, read that.
And there were lightnings
Mm-hmm.
and voices and thunderings and an earthquake
Right.
and great hail.
All right. So, where's my glasses? I was looking up, too, some of the things that are going on, like just looking at the plagues and seeing how many of them have happened in correspondence to what's going on with the world and the events in the world. So, on August 2015, and there's more events than what I'm going to name, but in August 2015, the water was turned to blood. And I'm not doing a good job of this, but this is all like everything in Yahweh's purpose. What I'm seeing is the same thing that happened back here is the same thing that happened here is the same thing that's happening now. Okay, exactly. It's just repeating. It's just if you can get the pattern here, then you've got it. It just keeps repeating itself. So in August 2015, the water turned to blood. There's water everywhere, and it turned to blood. It like literally is blood red. This is happening within the earth. But we're now working with the spiritual body. So it's happening everywhere. It's not just happening in Egypt like before. It's happening everywhere. So there's water that turned to blood. I believe one of the incidences was in Russia. June of 2015, there was a frog plague. Plague of frogs. Frogs everywhere. Covered the ground in China. Just saying. Yes, reflections, because Yahweh's repeating over and over. In August of 2015, there's some kind of super lice. Why is it super lice? Because there was a plague back here of lice. So now we've got super lice in the world. In Canada, there was a plague of flies, and I saw the flies. They were swarming around like tornadoes. Hundreds, thousands of flies, okay? 2017 of August, there was pestilence, and the pestilence were ticks and fleas. This was in Arizona, and the fleas had the bubonic plague. That's a pestilence. In May of 2016, there were boils found on people, covered in boils, in Syria. Here, just recently, July of 2017, in Istanbul, Turkey, there was hailstones the size of golf balls. Now, this just happened 9/11. In Russia, swarms of locusts. Do you see Yahweh's pattern just repeating itself? That's what I'm trying to labor here, okay? And then I haven't seen anything about the darkness yet, and I haven't seen anything about the death of the firstborn yet. But that doesn't mean it's not coming. So if you go back to, go back to, I want Revelation. I'm gonna try to work with it a little more, and then I'll be down. Revelation, and go back to Matthew, because now I want to point out how they kind of line up a little bit.
You want Revelation first?
Yeah, go ahead and finish Revelation.
12 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
And there appeared
11 and 19.
11 and 19,
Yep.
okay. And the temple of Yahweh was opened
So
in
the
heaven.
temple of Yahweh is opened in heaven. Read on.
And there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament.
So there's the Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark of the Testament. Read on.
And there were lightnings and
Now,
voices
There's lightnings and voices. Read on.
and thunderings
And thunderings.
and an earthquake
And an earthquake. There was just
And-
an earthquake, too, the other day. Read on.
and great hail.
And there was great hail. Read on.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven.
Now there appears a great wonder. Wonder is also in the Greek sign. There's a great sign or a great omen in heaven. Read on.
A woman clothed with the sun.
So there's a woman now, just like we showed with the consolations. So right now, there's a woman clothed in the sun. There's a woman in the consolations clothed by the physical sun too. Read on.
And the moon under her feet.
Now the moon represents the law. The moon is under her feet right now in the consolation. Read on, because this doesn't happen every day. The stars are there, but they move.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular setup in the consolation, it only happens, guess what? Now check this out. Guess how much, look, how many times you think this happens? Does anybody have any guesses how many times this happens? Anybody have any guess? Of the consolation appearing of the
Couple
woman
thousand
clothed
years?
in the sun. Huh?
Couple thousand years?
Good guess. That's the Star of Bethlehem. But do you have any idea how many times? Once every 7,000 years, which means it hasn't happened, which means it happened in heaven, because we know that the earth is only 6,000 years old. So according to what they even say, when they're reporting it, the last time it would have happened was back here as John is writing, because he wrote what is, what was, and what will be. And when he's talking about that, he's talking about Satan being cast out of heaven. So read it.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun.
First time we've seen this in earth. Read on.
And the moon under her feet.
The moon, or the law, under her feet. Read on.
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered.
Right.
And
okay. Go ahead.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Now, what appears now is Satan, basically. It's a satanic spirit, or Satan the dragon. Now, of course, when Moses was born under a death decree, Pharaoh was the one trying to kill all the male babies. So you have a type of Pharaoh being like that satanic spirit. When you come down here with Yahshua, Herod killed all the babies 2 and under because he was jealous as well. So again, you have that great dragon appearing right after that woman. Read on where you are, though.
And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven.
Okay, stop there. Get 1 Thessalonians 5 and 7.
1 Thessalonians 5 and 7. For they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken, are drunken in the night.
8. Peace and safety, that one? Is it 1 Thessalonians or 2 Thessalonians 5 and 7?
Don't know. Just didn't look like it was there. It's the safety.
You want me to find it real quick for
Yeah.
you? You can't find it? You need me to find it? Okay, let me find it real quick because I was looking up something else, but let me find it for you. It is 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3.
1 Thessalonians 5 and 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them.
Okay, so, yeah, I know. Okay, I'm going to get down. Thank you.
As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Okay, so there it
But
mentions,
ye, brethren, are not in darkness,
okay,
that day should overtake you as a thief.
all right.
Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of the darkness.
Okay, perfect. So that again mentions the travailing of birth. But Thursday, September 21st, is the International Day of Peace. This is something that's put on by the UN. And what they're calling this, if you can wait for this to come up here, what they're calling this is they're saying 2017 Peace Day theme, together for peace, respect, safety, and dignity for all. So what I'm saying is that scripture says when there's peace, when they say peace and safety, there shall be sudden destruction. Okay? Now here, like I said, in the UN, it says peace and safety and dignity. I'm just saying, Yahshua is showing his son the sign. So I'm just going to sum this up real quick and then I'll be down. So there's been a lot of events happening, okay? And I know not everybody's up on this. It's probably a lot of information, but it's very imperative that we start watching these current events because Yahshua is showing us his pattern. So you had 4 blood moons. I won't put the dates up, but you had 4 blood moons. They were basically in 2015. Blood moons are simply lunar eclipses, okay? You also had the star of Bethlehem appear in the sky. That happens every 2,000 years. You've also had these signs of plagues that are happening. The frogs, the lice, the locusts, the water turning the blood. You've had all this happening within the last couple years. Then September 23rd, what you have is you have that woman appearing in the heavens. So I'm just saying, not to be fearful of this, but this only happens every 2,000 years. This has only happened once. The pattern is repeating itself, but it's very imperative. What Yahweh has on my mind, I guess, is to just stay in class, stay in the Bible, keep seeking him, and seek him more than you ever have. Because at the end, if you don't know him, you will be in hell. And the last thing I want, volume 4 of the Elohim book, page 115, 4th paragraph, and then I'm done.
Volume 4, page 115.
Mm-hmm.
What paragraph did you ask for?
The last paragraph.
Thus, when Yahweh shall descend from heaven as fire.
So Yahweh is going to descend from heaven as fire. Read on. He's a consuming fire. Read on.
Mankind will be literally caught between fire above, Yahweh,
Now
and fire
look,
beneath.
Just like here, there was water above and there was water beneath. At this final day, Dr. Kinley is writing that fire is going to come from above and there's fire in the earth from beneath. Read on.
Beneath, in the heart of the earth, which is likened unto his being in a lake of fire, the sea.
It's like being in a lake of fire or sea. Read on.
This was typified also by the manner by which the first world was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh Elohim opened the windows of heaven and poured out water from above.
Right.
Remember the firmament dividing the waters above from the waters beneath, Genesis 1 and 7.
Right.
And the fountains of the deep were broken up, Genesis 7:11.
Mm-hmm.
And mankind was caught and destroyed in the midst. This analysis pertains to the consummation of the flesh, suddenly and quickly, as Paul says, that we all will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, 1 Corinthians 15:52.
All right. So is that it? Is there any more left? I think there's a little bit left, just a little bit.
But the real hell comes when, after the consummation of the flesh, those souls...
Now the real hell comes. Read that real quick.
Those souls who have sinned and transgressed Yahweh's commandments...
Those souls which have sinned and transgressed Yahweh's commandments, read on,
will stand in the presence of Yahweh.
They're going to stand in the presence of Yahweh Elohim. Read on.
Who is a consuming fire.
Now, he is a consuming fire. Read on.
And discern the glory and radiance of Yahweh and his sons who are clothed on with a new and glorious body, and compare their naked selves with them. Then shall there be weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth and cursings. That is the true hell.
That's the true hell, because what Hades is and hell is in the Bible is a little bit different than what Yahweh Elohim says. They've added some things. The real hell is going to be knowing that you are not part of the body of Yahweh Elohim. That's why it's important to come to class, be here, and learn all you can while you can. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Dr. Anwar. Our next speaker for this evening will be Dr. David Underwood.
So, well, good evening. Let's go back to the 40-plate chart, and we're going to go to division between male and female, plate 12. And this event took place in eternity, before time began. Time didn't begin until there was that transgression. Then the world turned. Everybody got that? So this took place in eternity. So the previous speaker was talking about something happening 7,000 years ago or back in eternity. Well, let's look back down here. First of all, you know that you have body of Adam, soul of Adam, and spirit of Adam in the sixth day, plate 11. And we see down here in 12e, we have Adam, who's been put into a deep sleep. It says incision, and that incision is where Yahweh took out the woman, correct? And we have the word inception. But what does it have right here? The woman clothed in the sun. That's the first time we see this on this 40-plate chart, right? This is the woman clothed in the sun. As the previous speaker was saying, Eve was clothed in Adam. Correct? Now, then we know that Eve was presented to Adam in the holy place. Then you had Adam and Eve, and they were at perfect peace up here in the most holy place. And this is showing it says unity of masculine and feminine sexes here. Now, we have the woman outside of the man Adam. And with the woman now being outside of Adam, she is now subjected to this one who has 666 across to identify him as he was that angel that was cast out of heaven with his angels, who then were immersed in ethereal darkness, as you see down here, that surrounded the earth. And you can read in the 4th chapter, I think number 5, because we're going from angelic invisibility. So when they're in, this is as the third heaven here. And then when they are then being cast into the holy place, we had division between invisibility and visibility. So they're still invisible here, but when they're down here, now they have that possibility of being visible or seen. Right? So now we have this woman here who now ends up having the transgression. We put it on Adam, but we have the transgression. And then that's where Adam is driven out and the woman follows. You have the satanic angel and his host. They follow him and down. So that's that bringing down. That's why these two plates are paired. So we're moving along in this scenario, and notice that I don't think there's any other woman clothed in the sun up there until we get to Pentecost, plate number 32, where we have her here in the holy place. Now, what we have to understand is the woman that came out of the man back here, the woman has to go back into the man here. And that man is Yahshua the Messiah. All right? So she's the woman clothed in the S-O-N, not the S-U-N, with that moon or that law under her feet. All right? Now, that is in Pentecost. Now, what the previous speaker said, then there appeared Satan. Well, there he is. There's that old great wonder in heaven. And he is there to now devour, I'll call it a soul. Right? And that's where you have the what? Persecution. But you have always had the persecutor, that satanic spirit, persecuting the Son all the way down. Always. It's always been the persecuting satanic spirit persecuting the Son of Yahweh or Yahshua the Messiah. So we have that persecution, plate number 33, and we have the woman clothed in the sun. Now, just for exercise sake, let's do this real quick. Where else can we see the image? Well, we see it right here. Woman clothed in the, it says S-U-N, but we know this S-U-N is the type and shadow of the S-O-N. We see it here. That's where the previous speaker had. And this is Pentecost, so I was plate number 32, right? There's the red dragon. There's that one woman with the moon under her feet. Here it is here. And again, Pentecost, right? And then, of course, we have here, correct? Now, the previous speaker also talked about, Tim, go over into Daniel, and I want you to get the story of Belshazzar, Belteshazzar, whichever it is, with Daniel and the writing on the wall. So, yes, this temple is something that is not really covered a lot. I just haven't seen it in the 40-odd years. But there's a lot, obviously, that is tied up in this temple that once it's revealed, we'll have a better understanding of Yahweh's purpose, pattern, and plan. So now we know that there was great treasure in this temple. Correct? Great. Now, this temple that was built by Solomon only stood for about 33 years before it was molested by Shishak, who was an Egyptian. He came in and he molested it. And that's showing forth that Yahshua the Messiah, he was going to, what? There for 33 years. And then he dies. Then we know then eventually that what was foretold already in Deuteronomy about when you get over into that land, don't you be taking those women for your sons, because they're going to cause your sons to forget me. Right? And Solomon had how many wives? Right? And so he forgot Yahweh, didn't he? All right. So the long and short of that is eventually after Saul, David, and Solomon, then you had the split of the kingdom into who? Judah and Israel. So we say 2 and 10. And a lot of people want to claim ties to the 10 lost tribes. The Ethiopians, right? The Ethiopian Christians, they say they have the what? The Ark of the Covenant and that type of thing. But anyway, the long and short of it is you end up having then the two kingdoms here. And eventually the kingdom of Israel went into bondage into Assyria. And what took place is about 100 some odd years later, Judah, not because they were anything great, they still had bad kings as the Israelites had bad kings. Yahweh got tired of them and told Jeremiah to tell the people, you're going to go to Babylon. And you better go and you better enjoy it. Because if you don't, I will come in and whoop up on you, lack of a better phrase. So eventually, the children of Israel get here to Babylon. And they were supposed to be in bondage for how many years? 70 years, right? And when you start reading in Ezra and Nehemiah and there, then you can find then the some are allowed to return back to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple, correct? Then eventually under the Medes and Persians, you end up having then the opportunity to go back and build the walls and the streets of Jerusalem. But I think most Bibles or most commentaries have the Solomon's temple destroyed in 586. So basically, there's a lot that goes on around here that we don't talk about, because then you start having the times of the Gentiles that comes into play, and when the Gentile nations start ruling Jerusalem. But anyway, the long and short of that is this temple is destroyed. It is destroyed. In other words, there is no temple for the Jewish people to congregate and to worship. So it necessitated then for Zerubbabel to come in and build a temple. Because there is a Zerubbabel temple, correct? And then eventually we know that when Herod was alive, he wanted to have a more glorious temple. It's called Herod's temple, correct? But we know in AD 70 what took place. The pagan Romans came in and destroyed Herod's temple. So now the Jews have no temple anywhere in the world to go and congregate. That's why they want to build a temple in Jerusalem. So we know that Nebuchadnezzar, now all of that this is Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and you can read about it in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, how Nebuchadnezzar had his dream, and he wanted his soothsayers and astrologers, I didn't say astronomers, and necromancers and all of his wise boys to tell him the dream, and then also to give the interpretation of that dream. And they hemmed and hawed until basically Nebuchadnezzar said, look, I'm going to kill all of you. Not just you, but your relatives, your family. And when Daniel got word of it, he beseeched Yahweh to give him the interpretation. Well, isn't that what took place back down here in Joseph? Right. Joseph beseeched Yahweh to give him the interpretation of Pharaoh's dream, of which Pharaoh remembered. He just didn't have the interpretation. And what we have to remember is who gave the dream to Pharaoh back here and who gave the dream to Nebuchadnezzar. It's Yahweh. All right? So eventually what takes place is you end up, of course, you had a deportation of Israel. That included who? Daniel, Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael, correct? And so, and many others. The upper crust of the Jews. So they're here. Nebuchadnezzar, you know what happened when basically said, when I did, Yahweh said, on your ground and eat grass as an animal. So what takes place is Nebuchadnezzar dies, then you have, read. No.
Daniel, this is chapter 7 in the Holy Name Bible.
Chapter 7, Holy Name Bible.
Would be chapter 5 in King James Version.
Okay.
Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast.
So Belshazzar is a relative of Nebuchadnezzar. And he made a great feast. And what was he using the feast with here in his capital? Please read.
Made a great feast to 1,000 of his princes, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple.
So remember, Nebuchadnezzar came in and destroyed Solomon's temple and took the valuable vessels of gold and silver, whatever is valuable. And so here it is what is it?
Belshazzar.
Belshazzar says, bring me the vessels, read.
Which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes and wives and his concubines might drink therein.
So the long and short of it is they're now partying with those vessels. Get down to the important writing on the wall.
All right. 24. No. 24? All right. The writing on the wall. 7 and 24. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written.
So now there's a hand writing on the wall. Now you know what, folks? This to me is a hand. And all we're allowed to do is point. That writing on a wall is going to be a sign, isn't it? And Belshazzar is not going to understand what it means. So what happens? There's Daniel. Now Daniel's an old man by this time. But read.
And this is the writing that was written. Many tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing.
Now, who's going to interpret it for the king?
Daniel. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many. Eloah hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it.
In other words, Yahweh set up this kingdom. Yahweh set up the Assyrians. Yahweh set up the Assyrians so they could come and take Israel away. Yahweh set up Babylon so that they could come and take Judah away. Yahweh set up Satan to carry us away at one point. Because before we came in here, whose kingdom were we in? It was Satan's kingdom. We are in his kingdom and of his kingdom. Even though we may have felt that I love God and he's great and he's wonderful but we just didn't know that we just did not know. Read.
Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances.
So here it is, you're weighed. Here's the balance, right?
Mm-hmm. And art found wanting.
So now you are found wanting. Babylon, you served your purpose. You served your purpose. And Babylon didn't last that many years as a kingdom. Right, Jim? Not that very long. I don't think they made 100 years. They weren't a long kingdom.
Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians.
Oh, so your kingdom is divided and is given to the Medes and the Persians. Now, what I did not know, I knew the Persians were basically the present-day Iran. All right? These Media, Persia, Medes, they are the Turks. The Turks of today. I think it's the Turks. Kurds, the Kurds of today. The Kurds of today. And we know that all throughout this area, there's Turkey goes way over here, but you have Kurds in southern Turkey, and they're fighting. You have Kurds in Iraq. They want their own kingdom. The Kurds want their own kingdom. Well, what happened when they got together in Persia? They did what? Conquered the world. Right? So, now, reader?
Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck.
So they raised him up again, as Nebuchadnezzar did. As they did Joseph. Anything else?
And made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom.
So now we know Yahweh does what? He overturns, 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 and overturns, and overturns, and overturns, and gives it to whose right it is, who is Yahshua the Messiah. So here it is. Yahweh set up Babylon. Then he overthrew Babylon with the Medes and the Persians. And the Medes became really second fiddle eventually. Because that's all you hear about is the Persians. And so here it is. Then you end up having then an overturn from the Medes and the Persians to Alexander the Great or Grecia. And then there was that overturn to who? Pagan Rome. Well, eventually Papal Rome. But who's in power during the time of Yahshua the Messiah were the Romans. And eventually it became a point in time when pagan Rome passed on their power to who? Papal Rome. Now, this is that image that Nebuchadnezzar saw that Daniel interpreted. Now, in this chart, if you went to Daniel 7:4, you would read about the lion. And who is the lion? It says Babylon. This lion says Babylon. That's all right. I mean, you got to be on the chart to read it. But it's right over where? Babylon. This is what Nebuchadnezzar saw. This is what who saw? Daniel saw. Right? And then, if you read in Daniel 7:5, you have Media and Persia, the bear with the 3 ribs in his mouth. And who do you have now? Right over Medes and Persians. Then you have leopards. And leopards are supposed to be what? Fast, right? And they have 4 wings and 4 heads. And that's right over who? Grecia. Right? Now, we know that Alexander the Great didn't write out a will and said, I want so-and-so and so-and-so to be my heir apparent. So when he died, he had no heir apparent. So his kingdom, it went way off the map here toward the subcontinent we call India. right? So what took place is his kingdom then was divided up among his 4 generals. And everybody, when you look at the PT, those are the Ptolemies of Egypt, right? Then you had the Epiphanes, not pronounced, that ended up sacrificing a pig on the altar. And that's called in a what? An abomination. Now you start getting the hammer. And who's the hammer? Nope. In that intertestamental period. Nope. Who's the hammer? Not MC Hammer. The Maccabees. The Maccabees. Now you start having the Maccabees. They revolted. And they went in and they did what? They tried to clean up the temple. But the one in charge, he wanted basically Greek culture in Jerusalem. So, Hellenized. They wanted them to be Hellenized. Now, again, this is the whole picture here. And what's the bigger picture of this whole story? You would have to go into the 4th volume of the textbook. And I think it's on basically what, I don't think it has a number because it is the Daniel chart. And the section gives an explanation of what's going on with this image here. Well, first of all, we know who ended up coming here to the Vatican. And that was who? The one that was going to suffer a lot for Yahshua's namesake. And that was Saul. That was Peter. Not Peter, Saul. Paul. Paul was his Roman name. He had Roman citizenship. He was unique. He had, like a better phrase, some privileges that the common Jew just didn't have. Because he was a Roman what? Citizen. That's why he could appeal to who? Caesar. That's why he could appeal to Caesar. And that's why he went to the image here to smoke this image at the feet. Now, the other speaker was talking about this one here, John on the Isle of Patmos. And Patmos, it says, basically, it should be right here. That's an isle. So he came to give the gut punch. Right? But see, you have that old mystery of iniquity, the papa of the world. The papa of the world. You see who's sitting up on the throne, right? See, you started off with a satanic trinity all the way back here with the antediluvian apostasy, plate number 16, City of Cain, see Vatican City. And that's going to be a satanic trinity with Cain, his wife, and his son Enoch. And that city is going to be over here, apostasy, plate number 37. Because now you have St. Peter's, what? St. Peter's, that's Basilica, correct? And the Vatican, and you have the head of the mystery of iniquity, which is the who? It has it right here on his triple crown tiara. The Pope, the great Papa, right? All right, so now we end up having them saying that who? Peter. Peter was the first Pope here in Jerusalem. Now, all of this is right in the 4th volume of the textbook. But they have Peter coming here. But over in Peter, the first Peter, the 5th chapter, it says, Peter does, Marcus and I salute you. from Babylon. Then Dr. Kinley gets into the counter argument that the Roman Catholic Church gives is, oh, Rome is Babylon. Well, it really is Babylon. But Peter actually went to Babylon, or the head, to start tearing down this image. And that's the whole point of this, that we're look, proving the existence and destruction of Satan and his demons through the dispensations and ages. This is second to what? The 40 plate chart, which is the divine pattern of the universe, proving the existence of who? Yahweh. And manifesting Yahweh's purpose. It's not Satan's purpose, because Satan does whatever Yahweh wills him to do. Manifesting Yahweh's purpose by the what? Physical creation. How? Through the dispensations and ages. That's the only way you and I can catch up with it. It's because we're in the ages of time. So, in the third that Dr. Kinley talks about is tracing that mark of the beast. Didn't you see where I showed the origin of Satan back on plate number 14, the angelic transgression? Didn't we basically somewhat track him? But you can see him right here. He's not numbered 666 on this chart, but he is back there on the 40 plate chart. And here he is coming on down. And what is he? He's a builder. This is plate 16, antediluvian apostasy. Then what came next is plate number 22, which is the construction of the Tower of Babel. And now we have the psychological immersion of all the people that took place. And as a matter of fact, it says it right back here on the 40 plate chart. You have conscience immersed in wickedness. Wicked. 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 And then Noah's job was to come in and do what? Warn the wicked. He warned the wicked. And then we end up having over here satanic immersion, what? Psychological. You're psychologically immersed in wickedness, in evilness. And we went through this about 3 weeks ago of a whole list of what took place after you ended up having that transgression with Adam. Guilty, dead, depraved nature, condemned, carnal, confused, wicked, not innocent, evil, contemptuous, darkened, sin, sick soul. And I'm sure I don't have all of the states and conditions of this wickedness that is in this earth plane. But we have a Savior who is called who? Yahshua the Messiah, that can take us out of His kingdom, out of Satan's kingdom, and bring us into the kingdom of who? Yahshua the Messiah, because all those that are His are going to be where? In Him or His body. Because if we all, you know what? The whole creation came out of Him back here. And there's that little incision. As there was an incision in Adam, he's the true man. And this one, Eve says, I have gotten myself what? A man. And that's that old man Cain. And now you can start tracing that satanic mystery and the mark of the beast on down through the ages and dispensations, and you can catch up with him. So, it's time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Underwood. That brings a close to our class for this evening. Are there any comments or questions? It's a good class. They'll win, aren't they? All right. Announcements are as follows. All right, classes are held every Wednesday and Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Sundays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. All workshops are held the first 4 Sundays of each month, and they begin at 9 a.m. And as a note, there will not be a workshop, morning workshop, next Sunday, the 24th. No, the runners, the people that run it will not be in class. They will be out of town. Our after-class question and answer period is usually held the third Friday of each month, and that would be this Friday. Words out on that one. The school is supported by its members. Pledges are due at the beginning of each month. Donations are welcomed and greatly appreciated. For either one, please see our treasurer. And from the Office of Public Relations, you can find our class on YouTube. You can also contact us at Facebook, WordPress, and Twitter. All donations for our streaming project are greatly appreciated. That concludes our announcements for this evening. Let us all rise for the doxology so that we may be dismissed. I will be quoting the last 2 verses of the book of Jude from the Holy Name Bible. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise Elohim, our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah, our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all time and now and ever. Let us all say, Hallelujah.
They try to convince me they shape their own destinies. But if they knew Yah like I know Yah, they'd get down on their knees. Yes, if they knew Yah like I know Yah, they'd get down on their knees. They don't know He's in complete control. Elohim is running this show, yeah. He's in complete control. Elohim is running this show. Freedom of choice is the law they're spreading around. Divine intervention is nice if God is ever around. They don't want to believe their every step was patterned by Him, that He's got it wrapped up tight, line upon line. They're going back to spirit again. Elohim is running His show. He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show. He's Alpha, Omega, Almighty Creator, first cause of creation, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Alpha, Omega, Almighty Creator, first cause of creation, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Of the world. You see, He told Jeremiah, I made you a prophet long before this earth had shape without form, before it was void. Yeah. He said, I possessed your ways before I made the deep blue sea. I am the cause, the reason for it all, and all I had to do was speak. Yes, I am the cause, the reason for it all, and all I had to do was speak. They don't know creation, the lamb slain from the lamb slain from the lamb slain from the foundation of the world, of the world, of the world, of the world. Caught up in a world they say happened by chance. They wanna believe that it's all in their hands. They try to convince me they shape their own destinies. But if they knew Yah like I know Yah, they'd get down on their knees. Yes, if they knew Yah like I know Yah, they'd get down on their knees. They don't know He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show, yeah. He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show. Freedom of choice is the law they're spreading around. Divine intervention is nice if God is ever around. They don't wanna believe their every step was patterned by Him, that He's got it wrapped up tight, line upon line. They're going back to spirit again. He's got it wrapped up tight, line upon line. They're going back to spirit again. They don't know He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show. He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show. He's Alpha, Omega, Almighty Creator, first cause of creation, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Alpha and Omega, Almighty Creator, first cause of creation, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, of the world. You see, He told Jeremiah, I made you a prophet long before this earth had shape without form, before it was void. Yeah. He said, I possessed your ways before I made the deep blue sea. I am the cause, the reason for it all, and all I had to do was speak. Yes, I am the cause, the reason for it all, and all I had to do was speak. They don't know He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show, yeah. He's in complete control. Elohim is running His show. He's Alpha, Omega, Almighty Creator, first cause of creation, the Lamb slain from the Lamb slain from the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Alpha and Omega, Almighty Creator, yeah. First cause of creation, the Lamb slain from the Lamb slain from the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, of the world, of the world, of the world. caught up in a world they say happened by chance. They wanna believe that it's all in their hands. They try to convince me they shape their own destinies. But if they knew ya like I know ya, they'd get down on their knees. Yes, if they knew ya like I know ya, they'd get down on their knees. They don't know he's in complete control. Elohim is running his show, yeah. He's in complete control. Elohim is running his show. Freedom of choice is the law they're spreading around. Divine intervention is nice if God is ever around. They don't wanna believe their every step was patterned by him, that he's got it wrapped up tight, line upon line. They're going back to spirit again. He's got it wrapped up tight, line upon line. They're going